welcome back to all of us to another episode of the I Learned podcast. I am so excited to be in here making this episode and myself getting to chill in this space. It always feels so good to just kind of kick back and relax and stretch out with a nice little contemplation on something that I've learned or been learning recently. And today's episode is no different. So here we are. Cup of coffee in hand, pillows at the back. I've been in the bed for about a week now. Been just taking it easy on bed rest. I was telling Dolly this morning that she's not feeling so good yesterday, and then again this morning feeling a little funky, and we agreed that just taking today to rest and slow down and spend some time recharging. It's way more fun to be on bed rest when you're not sick. So when you can just lounge around and soak up the R&R of binging Netflix for a little while and just tuning out and letting your animal self get comfy and rested. So, been in the bed for going on a week now, and it's going well. I'll tell you, here about 4 or 5 days ago, I took the leap and invested some of my business income into, that's fun to say because this time last year I really didn't have that kind of business income. So, just celebrating the changes, and here we are. I invested some of my business income into a video editing software program for my computer. Video editing is something that I have only very recently, as in within the last couple months, been taking on, and I have done the majority, exclusively, I have done my video editing so far on Canva, which is amazing that there is a free video editing software out there like Canva. So, highly recommend. If you don't have skills, Canva at least has all the basics. It has the basic idea of doing splits and transitions and music, and it's all there technically. It's just you don't have any bells and whistles. And so starting in Canva was really nice, especially if you look back at earlier on my YouTube channel at those videos. You can tell sister had no video editing skills whatsoever. And then you watch the videos, and up until this one that I am putting on my YouTube channel right now, I'm sitting here watching the scroll bar tick over 1% at a time, like every 15 minutes. This is gonna be a while still. It's only on 81%, but this video, you guys, I am so deeply proud of this video. The content itself, the verbal content and explanation, and the message and the energy that the video is to for when people watch it, I look at my videos as little capsules of my energy, and in their leisure, people can open whatever capsule they want and can experience that energy and can spend as much time in there as feels good for them. And this little capsule of energy, the spoken content, felt so good already. And it's my first video to edit on my new program, which is called Filmora Wondershare. Filmora is the full name. And I did happen to get it on a Black Friday sale, so it was $60, I think, right around there. I'd have to go back and double check the exact price, but I thought that was pretty good for the amount of an upgrade that it is over Canva. So on this new platform, it is overwhelming to me in terms of the amount of features that it has and the learning curve and just like so many other things that we have talked about recently, especially like on the a couple episodes ago I mentioned rapid skill acquisition or RSA, and on that theory it's like you have to spend at least 20 hours on something to be good at it, and I'll bet I've spent at least that many hours editing on Canva. And this video that I am putting on my YouTube channel right now, I spent, well, I had an hour and 6 minutes of content to start with. That's how long it took me to record everything that I had at the beginning. And then it took me about 5.5 hours over 2 sittings to edit it down into about 53 minutes. I think 54, yeah, 54 minutes. So it was quite a process, quite a journey of like, how the hell do you put the title on the thing? Like, why is this so complicated? It shouldn't be this complicated. Like anytime you try to learn something new and how do you do it and like kind of beat your head against the wall for a second. And then hopefully, what I've learned to do is then you relax. You relax into it, you relax into the fun of it, you relax back into the why of why you're sitting there at trying to edit the video in the first place. Like, I want my message out there on my YouTube channel. I want these videos to be so easy and enjoyable to watch that people spend longer watching them. And editing helps with that a lot. So, to start with, a few months ago, when I very first started daily content on my YouTube channel, it was a huge step forward for me to even be on camera. Like starting this podcast back in February, it was a huge step forward to let my voice be heard, to make recordings of me telling stories like I am right now and put that out there for the world to hear. And after, like 6 months of practicing with my podcast and my voice, finding my voice within myself, I became so passionate about getting the message out there that YouTube only makes sense as far as like a platform to continue on to. It feels really right in terms of my unfolding, and that has led me to lean into making face content videos that have me on camera. And if you watch, there's a couple early videos of me recording myself making a podcast episode. So, like, I make no attempt to look at the camera because it is literally a completely different skill set to be on camera than it is to open your mouth and speak. At least it is for me. Maybe I'm making it too complicated, but like I'm just explaining my inner process. So it makes a lot of sense that it did take me 6 months to find my voice. And then it took me another few months to get comfortable being seen on camera. And even that, I mean, it was such a progression and an evolution. And now that I am so much more competent and aligned with my voice, it's so much more readily available to me. And I am becoming more and more and more confident in being on camera and doing face content videos. And now, this next step of learning video editing, like it's just so the next step in the process, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next. This feels like a really important skill. Like I was journaling this morning about how grateful I am to be acquiring this skill and to let the fun of this message of like this video that I'm uploading right now is about the solar eclipse in Sagittarius on December 4th. And these energies that we are in right now are so big and so crazy and so aligned with what I feel like my soul mission is. I feel like this all was part of the plan all along for me to be coming online and sharing my message right now, because the cosmic energies are aligned to support the very message that I feel like I was born to tell, which is every single soul came forward to be an individual expression of source energy. So find your individual self, find your fully individuated soul expression and put that into the world, and that is actually our greatest purpose. It's actually the greatest service that you could ever do for the collective is to individuate. Find who you are, not who anybody else ever taught you you should be. What is the meaning of your life? And then are you living that? Or could you be doing more to lean into who was your soul coming forward to be? So I am so excited about this energy and this time and this space of offering support as people contemplate and lean into this next level of becoming who they are. And I've realized and am so humbled to accept that one of my spiritual gifts is inspiring faith, is helping people to relax into their own faith in themselves and in the universe and in the knowledge that all things are coming together to serve not only your highest good, but my highest good and the highest good of the entire collective. So I love that that is one of my gifts because my faith is strong. And I love that other people get that from engaging with my content, spending time with my content. And I am so very grateful how learning these video editing skills, which to give you a background, like up in I mean, it was if I could, finish any of these sentences, it would probably be better than what I got going on here. So maybe that's what it is. I need a sip of coffee. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's hitting the spot. So let us see. When did I start the journals? So it was only like a year and a half ago when I first started building my own journals and publishing my own journals through something called Kindle Direct Publishing. I should do an episode on that sometime, where you get to publish any book that you want. And even if it's a low content or no content book, where it's just a journal, it's just blank pages for people to write in. So, anywho, that was a year and a half ago. And at that time, I was trying to partner with someone who basically is a professional graphic designer because I had it in my mind that learning graphic design was too hard. It was too complicated for me. I had no idea. It was so much to learn. It was like Mount Everest, and I didn't care enough to want to climb it and let the people who are good at it do it, and was totally content with that option. And then the chick that I was trying to partner with was so busy that I waited for her to design my cover for like 6 months. And then she designed one, and it was gorgeous. It was. And in that moment, I just kind of had this moment of like, however my cover turns out, it's got to be better than waiting 6 months for the next one. And at that point, I had written 13 of these journals that I wanted her to make me a cover for each of them. So she had done one in 6 months. So I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, so am I really willing to wait around for 6 years for her to make these for me? Or maybe in 6 years I could teach myself graphic design enough to make these covers myself. I knew nothing about pixels or Canva or like anything. And so I would rather wait for her for 6 months than learn it myself. And eventually I came to, I would rather learn it myself. So it was probably last summer ish. So we're at like 14, 15 months ago now that I started doing graphic design in Canva for my journal covers. And just like anything else, if you look at the very first ones, they are so basic. They are a background color and some text that I didn't change anything about it. I just wrote the text that I wanted it to say and download. So super basic. And then as you look forward into what I did, there are some that I am like actually really proud of. Like the way I put the different elements together and blended some things and layered some things. And I was like, look at you, you fancy. Oh, like, and it just was such a moment of like looking back. And it was actually a cover I did for a book I published for somebody else. So doing my own journals actually led into me offering publishing services for other people who didn't want to teach themselves how to do self-publishing. It was very lucrative. And so that's like, you never know where these new skills are leading. Um, and so, anywho, back to video editing. That is once again where I'm at with now video editing. Like, I didn't think I could do graphic design, and eventually the path unfolded so that increment by increment, I did learn how to do graphic design. I got the hang of it, and it's really not that complicated. Um, but I told myself it was really hard, and that made it really hard. So, of course, it took me a while to come through the path of least resistance and find my way to being able to do a little bit, enough to get by, of graphic design. And so then fast forward to like a few months ago when I really wanted to put daily content on my YouTube channel. And I had figured out by hosting events, offering free events through Meetup, that I could record on Zoom, like host a Zoom meeting and record it and upload the recording to YouTube. I had been doing that for about a year now. So that process I was familiar enough with, basically to say, well, I'm just going to host a Zoom meeting and nobody else will be there and I will record it and then I can upload it to YouTube. And that got me started, but that like almost instantly presented, that is so hard to do. To just like do one take that you're totally happy with and you don't need to cut anything out of it and now you're uploading it to YouTube, like good luck. I mean, basically that's what my early videos are, because I didn't have the video editing capabilities to take content out. Um, and so I didn't. I left it whole. And the quality of the videos represents that. There's lots of downtime where I'm trying to like find my next word, or lots of filler words. My favorites are and. So all of those, so is another one. So all of those things is just, it's funny to look at how I didn't set out to learn video editing. I actually set a goal to have daily content on my YouTube channel. And in the process of making that content to put there, it became really, really, really necessary. Like just path of least resistance. Like it really does make it easier to have video editing skills, to have to learn how to do that rather than have to do one take. To do one take video recording is very difficult, much more difficult than learning how to do video editing. So I was poking around in Canva around that time and saw where if you go to create a new design, there is a beta version of their video editing software, basically, where again, it is very cookie cutter, it is very basic, but it has all the stuff to where you can at least get the gist of what's included. I had to stop to take a call, and now I have no concept for where I was before. So I think I'll just kind of wrap it all back together and say I am so grateful for being a student of life and getting to learn one new skill after another, and how the universe brings me to it in a way that is very approachable and attainable. It's like I've heard this analogy a couple of times with the ladder and like an analogy for learning where you have to be able to reach the bottom rung if you're going to be able to proceed through the process of learning and growing into the skill. Like if you're trying to climb a ladder and the lowest rung is 10 feet above your hands, then you're not ever going to get up there. But if the lowest rung is right there where you can get a hold of it and maybe even step onto it, and now you have a higher position where you can reach onto the next rung and move yourself up again, and then the next rung and move yourself up again. It is so gradual. Gradual. I crack myself up. Um, because, going back to that rapid skill acquisition, it's like 20 hours spent on something that can be a frustrating 20 hours if you're going to be frustrated about it. I spent 5.5 hours editing this solar eclipse video, and so that tells me I'm 25% of the way to having spent my 20 hours. And that got me looking back at, I mean, how far have I already come in those first 5.5 hours? Like I said, I didn't even know how to put the text on there. Because I'm like, it shows like you should be able to have your picture or your video or whatever, and then the text just be on top of that. And every time I would put it in there, it would like block out the video, and then it's just a blank screen with text. And I'm like, why? Why is it doing it? And then I figured out, oh, you gotta layer it. So I didn't know about layers. I had no clue. So it's just one step at a time, because now, that was a frustrating couple minutes of like, why can't I get the text to go on screen? And then once I finally figured out how to do it, oh, that's easy. Oh, that's easy. So now every time I want to put text on the screen, bada bing, bada boom, text on the screen, moving on to the next piece. So I can already see how I've gotten way faster at the very basic things to do with editing. This program is also a lot more user friendly. It's all just right there. Like I felt like on Canva, it's a little bit painful to have to do serious editing through the functionality that's available on Canva, but it's free. It's free and it's basic, and if you know nothing, it is the perfect place to start. So I am loving how user friendly my new system is, and super excited for all of the different bells and whistles that are available and that I am figuring out one by one how to use them. If you watch my YouTube channel, if you're familiar with the videos that are on there, I would ask you to even just watch the first couple minutes of this newest video to see what I mean about how, like, I feel like my video editing skills have been upgraded by like 200% in one video just by switching to this system. So it's making me look really good. So I will leave the link to the solar eclipse video in the description so you can see what I mean. And I think I'll just leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in once again to soak up the process of learning, the process of incrementally climbing to the next step on the ladder, and then being on that step and reaching for the next step on the ladder, and then being on that step, and then reaching for the next step on the ladder. And no, we don't get there all at once. Even when we do reach milestones or goals that we had set for ourselves, we just get there only to realize, man, yeah, there's still a bunch of rungs on this ladder. I still really need to keep climbing because there's still stuff up there that I want. It's a process, it's a journey. It's like the time goes by no matter if you're climbing on the ladder or not. If you want to get to a rung and stand there for the rest of your life, you absolutely can. That is the freedom, the free will that comes with being an individual soul on this planet. But I don't know, maybe it's the Gemini in me, maybe it's the line 3 in my human design profile, but I want new experiences. I want to learn new things. I want to broaden my horizons. I want to have new perspectives and a steady diet of new and fun things to think about and grow into. And, I genuinely love the process of growth. So, you know, make of that what you will. And until next time, dear friends, you take really good care of yourselves, and so will I.